Welcome to Too Many Tabs, a podcast where usually a husband and wife sit across from each other at a desk where one of them has done research about a topic that they've hyper-fixated on. Mm-hmm. However, once a month, usually the wife of the married couple, of the husband and wife, usually the wife reads a book, and then she tells the husband all about that book. But every once in a while, when the stars align correctly, and the phases of the moon touch one with the universe, the husband reads a book, but not just any book. He reads a specific book. He goes to the mythical land of Prithian. God, I hate this book already. Because you know what, ladies and gentlemen? We're here to tell you that today is time for Horny Fairy 3.
Too many frauds and too many scammers that we wish weren't real. Too many cons and too many spammers, and we're starting to feel like we've got too many tabs open. It's too many tabs. Remember to smile.
And here we are.
We're
here. A new Horny Fairy book is upon us.
We're doing it. We're recording.
We're getting this out now. Just to let you guys know, we are dropping this episode here on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Don't know how long it's going to be.
Yeah.
This could be multi-part. This could be single part.
We
this
haven't
could be,
started yet. We don't know.
We don't know. You're finding out at a couple hours after we recorded it. We have no clue.
We don't know what we're doing.
But that being said, we do not have the time or the resources. So this is the only episode this week. This is your Sunday drop.
It's the Sunday drop. We're just doing it early.
We're doing it early for Thanksgiving.
Because a lot of people are going to be traveling.
Yes.
They're going to be driving, flying. They're going to be sitting in the den of some aunt that they don't like.
Yep.
While everybody else is in the dining room and living room.
You're going to be reintroduced to a cousin that your mom is going to swear to God is important in your life. And you're like, who is this person? And that person is going to have the absolute worst politics that you've ever imagined. Yeah. And here's the thing. They're going to agree with you on 40%. And that 40% is not the most important things to you. No. And it's going to drive you insane, which is why I have spent the last bunch of months reading perhaps the worst book I've ever read.
I want to just step in real quick and say that for the last bunch of months, we didn't tell anybody.
We didn't tell anybody.
Secretly reading this in hopes of doing the last episode.
Yep.
And then, but we had no timeline. It was like every once in a while he'd read it.
I was traveling.
Meandering. It was meandering through the last book. But then after what happened in November, we agreed. I said, listen to me, you son of a bitch. You're going to read all that book fast as possible because these people they need the Horny Fairy book. We're all having a bit of a time right now.
Yep.
And we need to listen to you explain what I think is your favorite book.
Yeah, and
I mean, you've read 3 of them.
I finished the book 24 hours ago.
It's fresh.
And then I sat down
baby.
and I wrote an entire outline that is now a little over 12 pages. And in single space.
No.
Single space, 11 font.
Okay. All right.
There's no double space on this page. We are in it to win it. So that being said, for all of our Patreon members, all of our team leads, all of our upline managers, and our feds, all of you, and the Hey Huns. We have a bunch of people who are grandfathered in at the old Hey Hun tier. Thank you guys so much for being continued supporters of us. This is for y'all and for all y'all and for all of our listeners.
Yeah, for everybody.
But in the other thing I just want to let everybody know, if you're new, if this is the first time you've ever heard our podcast, there is a playlist that I'm going to make that will be up there by the time you hear this on YouTube of all 3 books.
Yep.
So you can watch them on YouTube very easily. And if you want to hear any of our other special stuff like the warm up, which is our parasocial Patreon podcast, where we kind of talk more about ourselves, or if you want to find out about our new delight that people are loving.
The people are loving it.
Burning up the charts. It's our Patreon exclusive podcast called Vibing Out with the Food Moron. Hi, my name's Alex Pearlman, also known as Pearlmania 500, but now known as the Food Moron. And I'm sitting across from the greatest vibe chef in history, Mrs. Pearlmania, who is now taking her vibes and actually measuring them out because she does all of her cooking.
I didn't even know how to measure vibes before.
You figured it out. It's exactly 3 teaspoons of shortening.
Exactly.
But that's basically what she does. Is Mrs. Pearlmania has always been kind of a pinch of this, a dash of that type of cook. And she's taking her favorite recipes that she's made over the years, and she has actually been testing them out on me. and then writing them out into recipes. And then she explains the recipe to me in a podcast. But all of the recipes right now, there's just the one.
There's just one. And it's a big one. It's deviled eggs.
It's deviled eggs.
Listen to me right now. This is going out on Tuesday.
Yeah.
There is enough time to listen to the episode. Maybe print the PDF that's on the Patreon. You don't have to print it. Just look at it on your phone if you don't want. If you don't have a printer, you're probably a blessed person if you don't have a printer.
If you don't have a printer.
And you have time to get to the grocery store, get the ingredients, and make them.
Yep.
Okay. If you go into a family event, if you just said fuck everybody, hear me out. Listen to this podcast, and then eat deviled eggs that you made. Oh, think of it.
And if you really want to do that, all of that, you can join us at pearlmania500.net. That's a hyperlink directly to our Patreon or patreon.com/pearlmania500. That being said, Mrs. P, are you ready?
No.
Mr. P, are you ready? No. Listeners, are you ready? I don't think you are, because here we are. It is time for A Court of Wings and Ruin.
I did not know that was
That was the name of the title. A Court of Wings and Ruin.
Oh, no.
Also known as Horny Fairy 3. So we are going to go throw to our first break. And when we come back, y'all, I got a surprise.
Fairies fucking. Fairies fucking. Vampires too. Vampires too. Sometimes a dragon's there and they're all in the news. All in the news. Sometimes there's a dinosaur. Sometimes it's for or more. Sometimes it's just a tiny girl with a shadow daddy rocking her world. Fairies fucking. Fairies fucking. Railing all day. Railing all day. Sexy fairies with big bat wings, please carry me away.
Yeah, that is our bumper for this episode.
Perfect.
I want to thank all of the people who tagged me on that on TikTok.
Yeah.
I reached out to the band. They are called Griefcat. Griefcat. I'm going to link to them in the show notes on Instagram and their TikTok. Please follow them on both. They're incredible.
Yeah.
I reached out to them and I was like, can I use your song on our podcast? They're like, yeah. What is it? And I was like, you said yes way too early. I just want you to know that I've been hyper fixated on this song.
Yeah.
Okay? Hyper fixated on this song.
I'm glad.
And I actually put together a whole new soundboard just to be able to use this song. I've been neglecting my child. So
I didn't. Don't worry. I took care of it.
No, you took care of it, but I have not been there. You know why?
Why?
Fairies fucking. Fairies fucking.
That's it. I just made just that part. Or my other favorite.
Shadow daddy rocking her world.
No.
So those will come back.
Okay, great.
I have them queued up.
I love that.
But so here's the thing. Well, as we go into Horny Fairy 3, I was realizing something. I've been living in Horny Fairy land for a full year now.
Yeah.
You have only been there for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because the only time you've been in the Horny Fairy realm has been when I've been telling you about it.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, these names don't, like, Feyre, you probably don't remember who that is.
No.
That's the main character.
Oh.
So I'm going to quickly give you a brief synopsis.
The main character's name is Feyre, but she's not a fairy.
She is now. We're going to get into it.
Okay.
This is a brief synopsis of book 1 and 2. Book 1. Feyre is a 19-year-old human girl living in the woods with her broken dad and sisters, Nesta and Elaine.
Who were jerks then.
Yes.
Got it.
They live in basically southern England. All right? Because when you look at the map of this world, it's clearly...
It's just England.
It's just England.
Yeah.
It's just Great Britain and Ireland and a little bit of France. That is the map of the world. Sarah J Maas is... Anyway, so she is hunting because her family's really poor.
Yep.
She shoots a wolf, and the wolf is actually a fairy.
Yep.
And then a giant werewolf shows up and yells, "You killed my man," and then stole her and takes her back across the wall.
Yes.
And then she goes to a place that is the Spring Court. Now, at the Spring Court, it is permanently April 25th.
Okay.
Because as was stated by Miss Rhode Island in the movie Miss Congeniality, April 25th is the perfect date. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, and all you need is a light jacket.
Yes.
That is the realm she's taken to.
Perfect.
Then we slowly realize that, this is just Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Because he and all of his people, just like in the Disney version, all have some sort of weird mask curse where they can't take these masks off. and all of them have like animal features. And she meets Lucian, and he's the candelabra from the Beauty and the Beast. But he's like the friend and also like the court guy. And then the main dude's named Tamlin. So Feyre and Tamlin have this weird Beauty and the Beast style romance, and then plot hook. The curse is actually they keep calling it the Blight, but the curse is actually this evil dark queen who lives on this place called Under the Mountain.
Yes.
And her name was Amarantha.
Amarantha.
Feyre and Tamlin do the old will they won't they shenanigans for most of the book. It's a lot. They edge us most of the book.
Yeah.
And then Feyre ends up under the mountain with Tamlin and Amarantha and this guy Rysand, who is like a weird Dracula sex High Lord because they're all High Lord fairies. And it's all very whips and chains, excite me type of stuff. But she has to get through 3 trials, and one of which was just reading.
Yeah,
remember
difficult,
that?
Actually,
She doesn't know how to read.
Yeah.
It's like a big deal. She doesn't know how to read. She also kills like a giant worm. But at the end, she ends up battling Queen Amarantha and Tamlin and Rysand, and the 3 of them. They all battle her, and they kill Queen Amarantha.
I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted because now that you're saying them all together, I'm realizing that Sarah J Maas, did she name all these people after food and not know it?
I don't know.
Because amaranth is a type of grain.
Okay.
And rice is a type of grain.
Yeah.
Tamarind is a fruit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just...
She might have just been horny in her kitchen, babe. Sarah J Maas might have just been horny in the kitchen.
She was like, oh, I'm making gluten-free bread. Better get the amaranth out.
Yeah, exactly. So they kill Amarantha.
Okay,
they get rid of her.
Done.
But in that, it kills some... I can't remember like Amarantha just straight up kills. I think Amarantha just kills her.
Yeah, but then she comes back.
They bring her back. The High Lords drop a little bit of their power into her, and then she comes back. But not only does she come back, she comes back as a High Fae. So now Feyre is a fairy.
And she can read.
No, not yet.
Oh, damn.
That's book 2. But she comes back, and then she kisses Tamlin. She has like a goodbye to Rysand, and Rysand's just like, oh yeah, by the way, I have bat wings, and he flies away. And then she goes back to live happily ever after on April 25th forever.
Yeah.
Okay, that's book 1.
That's book 1.
Book 2.
Okay.
That was a lie. There is no happy ending. She has incredibly extreme post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD,
sure,
and claustrophobia from everything she went through underneath the mountain with that evil queen, Amarantha, and all the trials. Plus, she has this huge case of survivor's guilt.
Yep.
Because while everything was going on, when she first met Rysand, he was like, "What's your name?" And she was like, "Oh, my name is Claire Bedor." And he was like, "Okay, noted." And then he went back and told Amarantha, he's like, "Yeah, she has some human. Tamlin has some human named Claire Bedor." And Amarantha sent Faye over the wall that separates the world.
Yep.
And they captured a girl named Claire Bedor.
Yeah.
And then they killed the shit out of her and tortured her. And it was really bad. And so Feyre feels really, really bad about that.
Sure.
So Tamlin's like, whatever, we should still get married. And it's like really awkward. And it's pretty clear that like he's emotionally distant, but also he also has PTSD. And at this point, he's becoming increasingly paranoid while she is rotting away in front of everyone's eyes.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yeah.
So she's about to marry him. She's walking up the aisle and she screams, and Rysand appears and is like, remember, we had a bet. We had a bargain bet. I saved your life, so I get to take you whenever I want. Like that one other Greek myth with Hades and the pomegranate.
Oh,
Persephone. Yep, exactly. So I'm going to take you like that and whatever. And then he takes her back and he's like, whatever, I don't actually want you, but you just sounded crazy. Yeah. And then he teaches her how to read slowly over time. And then eventually she learns how to read.
When she learned to read, was it like in A League of Their Own, where she's like, milky white bosoms?
Kind of, yeah. He makes her really write, like he writes like a weird sentence, like Rysand is like a beautiful sex god, and she has to like write it out and read it. Yeah. So it's very much that in the book that is milky white bosoms. And so then, quick fast forward, she learns how to read, she learns how to do her magic, and she learns how to forgive herself. Eventually, she leaves Tamlin completely and moves to the Night Court.
I'm glad that came back.
Yeah, I know. So once she's there at the Night Court, she has a really good she has a good time. She starts to meet more people. And then she learns all about the King of Highburn and the Cauldron.
Okay.
And how the King of Highburn's like the great evil from the before war.
Okay.
Backstory. But then she also meets the gang. I'm going to call them the gang.
Okay, the crew.
Yeah, so the crew is a bunch of really cool people. The crew involves Cassian. Cassian, he's the general.
Yep.
There's Azriel, the spy master. He's also a shadow singer.
Oh.
There's Morrigan, who is Ryson's cousin, but also like everybody's best friend. And Feyre's like first like friend that's a girl.
Okay.
That isn't a sister. Like she's actually
Got
like
it.
a girl. She's like my gal pal. Okay. And then there's Amryn. And Amryn's the eldritch horror that lives inside of an older lady's tiny body.
Right.
Okay. Do you remember her?
Yeah.
Okay. So they run around the crew.
The crew.
I like the crew better. You're right. I kept writing the gang, and it does make it feel a little bit Always Sunny.
Yeah.
The crew runs around, and they collect a series of MacGuffins.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay. Have you ever heard of the Maltese Falcon?
I'm sorry, what?
The movie, the Maltese Falcon? A MacGuffin is just a device that exists in a story. Okay. Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
You know how in Pulp Fiction they keep opening the suitcase and everyone, like the golden light comes out of it and everyone's like, oh my God, what's in the suitcase? And like the story is kind of tracking the suitcase.
Yeah.
The suitcase is just a plot device.
Yeah.
That's called a MacGuffin
Got it.
in storytelling world. So basically they have a series of MacGuffins they have to run around and collect. Harry Potter collecting all of the things to kill Voldemort.
Yeah, the thingamajigs.
Yeah, the thingamajig. Those are all MacGuffins.
Yeah.
It's just we need a thing. Why are we on this mission? We're on this mission to go get the thing. In this case, it was like a parts of books that they had to put together, and then they were going to go to the cauldron, and she was going to touch the cauldron and read the book, and then the cauldron would end, and the war would end.
Okay.
But this is the middle of the trilogy, so it didn't.
Yeah,
it didn't work out.
Yeah, we knew that wasn't going to work out.
They show up before they go to blow up the cauldron. Feyre and Rysson finally admit they fall in love. They have some soup, and they fuck.
Woo!
And you know, she like just admits completely that she's in love with
Soup.
Shadow Daddy rockin' a world.
Anyway, so I'm so excited for these buttons. So anyway, where am I? Okay, so they fuck after the soup, and then they all go take out the cauldron. But the plan goes completely sideways because they discover that the human queens that they've been trying to negotiate with to help them, they betrayed them completely.
Yeah.
And they helped the evil fairy lord who actually wants to kill all the humans. But he was like, I'm going to turn you into fairies by using the cauldron. And then Tamlin comes around the corner with Ianthe.
All right.
That's not Beyonce.
No.
Well, I mean, honestly, she has around the same amount of power as Beyonce. So she's like white Beyonce.
Yeah.
Ianthe comes around the corner with Tamlin and Lucien and her sisters, Nesta and Elaine.
Okay.
And then they were like, and this guy, Jurian.
Jurian.
Yes. Do you remember Jurian?
I remember the name.
Yeah, because you remembered hating it.
Yeah.
Okay. Jurian was a human from the before war that was brought back to life who is crazy now.
Okay.
So they all get attacked by all these different people. And then the king takes her human sisters, Nesta and Elaine, and pushes them into the cauldron.
All right.
And everybody freaks out. And then the cauldron spits out 2 new High Fae, which was proof that, look, we can do this. And then Feyre acts like, oh, no, you broke the bond. Look, I'm free of the curse of Rysand. And everyone's like, what the fuck's going on? And then Rysand gets out of there with everybody who's injured plus her sisters. And they all go back to the Night Court. Okay, so they're back at the Night Court, and then she goes back to the land. Feyre goes back with Tamlin.
To the April land.
To the April 25th Spring Court.
Yeah.
So she's back there. But the very end of that book, we find out a big secret.
Okay.
Which is before they went on this final mission. How long
right.
did this take me? It was nearly 15 minutes to explain to you 2 fucking books. Right before she walks into the hall, she goes, I'm not going there as Feyre this time. I'm going there as the High Lady of the Night Court because she got secretly married to Rysand and she had a glamour on the entire time and she still has tattoos. She's not putting makeup on them and all this different stuff. And she's there to plot her revenge. So book 2 ends with like, we're in our lowest place, but I have a plan.
Okay. I don't really trust her plan because she's young.
She is, I think, 20.
I recall thinking that she didn't think a lot of things through.
We went through this a lot during book 2. She is 20. We kind of glossed over it a lot when in the book 1 because we're just kind of like, poor peasant girl.
Yeah.
But then she got to a certain point where like, you shouldn't be this dumb anymore.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, but you're still a child.
I remember being like,
you're a
you don't have enough
child.
life experience.
You're a 20-year-old child.
For me to believe that you are able to come up with these type of plans.
Yeah. Okay. So now.
Yeah.
Do you feel caught up?
Yes.
Do you feel like you have a strong enough backstory?
Yes.
Okay. And that was really more for you than the listeners. For anybody else, if you want to get in detail for all of these things I just went through, again, go to our YouTube page and you can see right on there. I'll have a playlist listed.
Yeah.
It'll be ACOTAR trilogy. Okay. Now, we're going to start with we're in a prologue.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
I love a prologue.
It's from Ryson's perspective.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And it's 502 years ago.
Okay.
I know, because fuck you. Why? Just a completely unnecessary chapter. It's just him walking across a battlefield, like just surrounded with dead people. And this was from the war before the wall went up that split the human and fairy worlds apart. And he's just walking across this thing, and he's looking for his dead friend. Not his dead friend. He's looking for Cassian, the general.
Okay. And
he's like, where's my buddy? Where's my buddy? And it's really just there just to kind of set up like, hey, war bad. Just to remind you, like, war's bad.
Yeah,
and everybody has feelings about going through this thing that they thought they defeated again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Everybody has feelings about going through the thing they thought they defeated again.
Yeah. We all have feelings about going
Everybody
through.
has feelings.
Yeah.
Okay. You got it?
Yeah,
you get where I'm going with this?
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. It's a metaphor. Anyway, that's the end of the prologue because it's like 3 unnecessary fucking pages. So we're going to open with part 1. This book is separated into 3 parts.
Okay.
Part 1 is called Princess of Kion.
Great. Oh, the Princess of Kion?
Yep.
That's me because I hate checking my luggage.
No, Kion, like like carrion birds, like like the vulture picking at the dead carcasses on the side of the road, and then RFK Jr. pulls up and scoops them up, puts them in his van.
Nom, 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 nom.
I did heroin and now I can read books. That's a real quote he has. We're in hell. Okay, so Princess of Kion. Mm-hmm. We open with Feyre is sitting inside of the manor. And she's painting a picture of flowers.
Oh, right. She loves painting.
Yes, she loves painting. I know. Oh, I love already seeing it come together, and you're already getting mad. She's using, she's using some glamour to hide her special tattoos.
I am obsessed that she's hiding her tattoos with glamour. She's everybody going home for Thanksgiving right now.
100%.
She's getting that good KVD tattoo cover foundation from Sephora.
Now, Ianthe shows up. And Ianthe, the priestess, who's like blonde and like a total bitch. Yeah. She shows up, and she's the one that like even Feyre and like all the other books was like, why didn't you just fucking marry? Why didn't Stanley marry you? Like, you're clearly like super into him, and he loves like hierarchical structures like a bitch.
Oh, like the blonde lady and the nanny.
Yes, 100%. She's the blonde lady and the nanny. Okay. Yes. And Feyre's not Fran Drescher. Fran Drescher would never.
Fran Drescher would never.
No, because Fran Drescher has sense.
She was a working woman with common sense who saw an opportunity.
Yes.
Literally knocking on the door. And she said, yeah. I'll be a nanny.
So Ianthe basically gaslights her about why she betrayed them to the King of Highburn.
Sure.
Remember, Highburn, by the way, is Ireland. Just to remind everybody, Highburn is straight up Ireland. This is a story of the Irish invading England. Because Sarah J Maas has everything backwards. Okay, so it would make more sense if the wall was between Northern Ireland and Southern. You know what?
Just
fuck it.
Sense.
I'm sorry. I'm in hell. Now, they go through, like, they have this conversation, and she's like, no, listen, like, I did it because I wanted to cover the unspoken thing that you really wanted, which is like, you didn't want your sister to stay human because you're immortal as a fairy, and you're gonna live for like a super long life, and your sisters would die in like 60 years or something.
Her bitch sisters that she didn't fucking like.
So I made sure that they're immortal like you too now, and that by betraying you, I actually saved you. And then then she leaves because she's like, what a bitch. And then Lucian comes in. Remember Lucian? He has red hair and a metal eye. Yeah. Okay. At the end of book 2, when her younger sister Elaine, I think she might be the middle sister, but when Elaine, who's the prettiest of them, they make a big deal. She's skinny pretty. Oh, she's that
very important these days.
Yeah, no, but she's like
skinny's back.
I know, but she's like that like unhealthy skinny.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And she's like that really like rail thin, and everyone's like, she's so pretty. Everyone's
just
like,
picture that guy from that show, the musical show you like.
Oh God.
What was Gallivant?
Gallivant.
He's like, I like him. I like him thin.
I like him skinny. I like him unhealthy skinny. Or he likes them really big. He likes them more really. What was that guy? That's fucking Vinny. Vinnie Jones. I think he's like a soccer hooligan. He's a crazy guy.
I love him.
He's amazing. I love Gallivant. Now, enough about that.
Back to things you don't like.
Lucian shows up because he immediately realized when he saw Elaine as a fairy that they have a mating bond.
Right, the dog mating bond.
Yeah, he's like, I smelled her and she's my mate.
Yeah.
And it's super weird.
Yeah.
And we touch on it a little bit throughout this book of how weird mating bonds are.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, who makes them up? Like, I don't fucking know. It just happens. They're like, well, how do you know it's real? Well, I don't fucking know. It could just be a delusion.
Yeah.
So he like shows up and he's like, where, you know, like, Ryson's gonna hurt your sister and we need to get her back so I can protect her. And she's like, it's fine, Ryson's fine, he's not gonna hurt her, you're being weird. And she's like, I also don't trust you because you betrayed me too. Yeah, because remember he hunted her down in book 2 a little bit too. So there's like a whole thing, but she's like, I really liked you in book 1, but you were a jerk in book 2. And like,
now you think you're
my brother-in-law. Like, it's weird.
Gross.
Like, it's really weird. So there's that. Tamlin then explains
tampon.
A lot of listeners, I'm with you now on the tampon thing.
He's in.
I'm in.
It took to book 3 or was it book 2 where you were like, it's tampon?
Book 2, I knew instantly. I was like, oh, this man's an abusive psycho. Yeah. But like, he's in this one, he's just a dildo. Yeah. Like, he is just the worst. I mean, he's giving me septic shock.
Whoa.
Okay. So Tamlin explains that he had to make this bargain with the evil guy, the King of Highburn. By the way, King of Highburn, that's his name. Never get a real name for this dude. The whole book, they're going to keep calling him the King of Highburn or the Forces of Highburn or the Highburns. And
but
like,
his name's like Kevin. His name's probably just Kevin.
Probably Kevin. But anyway, Tamlin's like, no, listen, I had to betray you and all of your friends because you left me and Ryson stole you. And so, like,
only one of those could be true. Either she left or she was stolen.
Well, she left because he stole her brain, and that's what Ryson stole her brain. Yeah, because
wasn't she like screaming that she didn't want to get married, and that's why he came and got her?
Yes, 100%.
In her mind.
Yes, yeah, because they have a mind link, and she's not using the mind link right now because she doesn't want anyone to overhear it. Oh, so she's being like real careful about the mind link because she still has it. Nobody knows she still has the mind link.
Yeah,
so,
she's using what's the text message thing?
Signal.
She's using Signal.
She's using Signal. So, but he also explains, he's like, and when I made the deal, I made sure that when I made the deal that Highburn promised he wouldn't hurt any of my Spring Court subjects. Okay. So anyone who is here on April 25th enjoying this lovely 68-degree weather, they won't be hurt by Highburn. And she's just like, yeah, you dumb bitch. Like, he goes back on everything. Like, you're dumb. Yeah. You just... Okay, sure. Enjoy your tariffs, motherfucker. Yeah, like, she just kind of like sitting there, just like,
Oh, we're
that's
special.
Great.
We won't get
okay,
hurt.
yeah, it's real different. You're playing him. So then the next day, Jurian shows up. Jurian's the human. Yeah. That was the eyeball in Amarantha's ring that they brought back to life because she tortured him for 500 years in a ring.
And how's he doing?
He was crazy, but he seems less crazy now.
Because he lived inside of a ring.
Because it was just his eyeball. Yeah. Just his one eye.
I'm going to say something out of the gate. And I don't know how to put this. How many tropes did Sarah J Maas steal from Harry Potter?
Okay.
Because when I think of the eye ring, when I think of the Horcruxes, when I think of I'm just like, is this just Harry Potter?
No. So to be fair, I want to be completely fair. Harry Potter also stole those from everybody the fuck else. Okay, so like it's not original in fantasy for any of them. Like, there's very little original things. Yeah, of course. We're just much like cooking. Yeah. Much like cooking, you're just taking some ingredients from this thing, taking some ingredients from this thing, and we're
making fusion, baby.
We're making fusion.
Okay,
baby.
all right, back in.
We're making some fairy fusion.
So the eyeball ring,
the eyeball ring guy shows up, and he is like he shows up with 2 Highburn commanders. Oh, okay. Now these are weird, creepy twins. Oh no. Named Prince Dagdan and Princess Branna.
Oh, it's a boy-girl twin?
Yeah.
That's the worst type of twin.
Especially in fantasy. Yeah. They're always creepy.
Yeah. They're always like holding hands.
Yes.
Like,
for the listeners, Legend of Korra Season 1. They're that level of twins. Yeah. Where they have and they even point out, they're mind-reading freaks. And so, like, not only do they have a sweet secret twin language, they just look at each other sometime and you can tell they're talking.
No, that's the worst kind of twin.
I know. And they sleep in the same room.
No, No.
Yeah, they make a big deal about how we don't need 2 rooms.
Okay, you don't. If you say that, it made my skin crawl just hearing that.
Yeah, and don't worry. They make it very overt later.
No.
So, because she's not original. Sarah J Maas is not original in anything. She just is like, they're twins, and yeah, they do it.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. No, we don't want to think about that one. Anyway, so where was I? Okay, I should have made this bigger font. Now, Jurian explains that turning Feyre's sisters into fairies drained the cauldron.
Oh.
It's a one pump chump when it comes to making big spells like
Well, no,
this.
it's like a hot water heater. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
take a big long shower,
Yeah.
give the baby a bath.
It's got to refill.
Now we got to wait.
Yeah, you did the dishes too? You're a fool.
You did the laundry, the dishes, and washed the baby?
Yeah,
You better-
no.
Nobody's showering tonight,
Yeah,
bud.
you're taking a shower in the morning.
Yep.
So that's basically what happened with the cauldron. And so they were like, because it's weak, they can't just pull down the wall right now. But they want to go poke at the wall for some weak points, and maybe they'll take the cauldron to the wall and just shove it in one of the holes and then expand the hole till it breaks.
Okay.
That's like their idea right now.
Sure.
And so like Feyre convinces them that she needs to go too.
Yeah.
And because Tamlin's like not letting her leave the house again, he's being really fucking controlling in like things. But also he's also running around doing a bunch of different shit. So eventually, Jurian, Lucian, Feyre, and the Freak twins, they go to the wall and to check it out. Now they do this 3 times, and each time is because of course rule of 3s.
Yeah.
And each time like you learn a little bit more
About the
wall, but also about just everything else that's going on. Jurian explains that he fought during in the pre-war, the prequel war.
Got it.
500 years ago. Rhysand and Jurian fought alongside each other. And but one of the things that happened is like there was this whole thing about there's this lady named Miriam, and Jurian was like in love with her, and I guess like it didn't work out. I can't remember correctly like that well, but basically like Jurian feels like Miriam betrayed him for this guy named Prince Drakon.
Prince Drakon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Drakon.
Okay.
Drakon.
Oh, like Drake.
Yeah, like Drake. Except, hold on. She's clearly 19. Because every woman in fantasy fiction is 19 or 20.
They're like just over the line.
But never old enough to
But
actually...
still don't have that frontal lobe development.
Excuse me. Because, thanks to Obamacare, I'm still on my parents' insurance. It's that level. Until I'm 26. Until next year. So... I got to stop sprinkling those in, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I really do. So anyway, Rhysand, there was a whole thing in there, and like he's like, "Where's Miriam?" And she's like, "I don't fucking know where Miriam is," because like Miriam, quote unquote, died.
Miriam is such an older lady name that it's like impossible to picture a younger like hot woman who he's in love with named Miriam.
I pictured it as kind of Greek.
I also thinking a picture of a baby, like a little baby, and you're like, we're gonna name her Miriam.
Yeah. Somebody's gonna get in our comments after this and be like, "Fuck you for making fun of my kid." But anyway, Miriam and Drakon, they left at the end of the war, and nobody's heard from them since. And there's like a big deal about that. And Jurian's like, "I still want to get my girl," and he's like, he makes it pretty clear that the King of Hybern's like letting him have a little bit more leash so he can go hunt them because they are still also a threat.
So he wants to hunt them, even though he allegedly loves one of them.
Well, because he loves them like an ex.
Yeah.
He loves them like a nice guy.
Got it.
Okay? Because there's a lot of sexual violence in this book. It's just, there's a lot of undertones that just really suck, Sarah. Okay. So,
I don't know why you're saying that. You love this book series. That's why you
Feyre
read
lies and says that she knows for a fact that Miriam is dead.
Okay.
Now, that's a lie because in the last book, Rhysand was like, "Yeah, she's alive. I totally went to go visit them a while back." He's like, "They're great." No, he did. He's like, "I went to their island for like a couple years because again, they're all long. They all live forever, and they basically live in like Greece.
Okay.
It's like they're her weird like
Santorini.
Yeah,
having a good time.
But people went back to where they were. It's an island called Kretia.
Like Crete.
Yes, 100%.
Like Crete.
Yes. God damn it! Don't be upset at me. This island that is clearly Greece, but they went back to it and they're like, "Oh, it's just ruins there now." Like I don't know where they went. They must have left.
No, meanwhile they're on the beach eating a grilled feta salad with fresh fish.
Yeah, 100%. No waiter ever checking on them again.
I don't know why we paid for anything.
I don't know. We should have just left. What were they gonna do? Jurian tells Feyre that he knows Miriam isn't dead because he tried to resurrect her using the cauldron, and nothing came out. And the only way that would happen is if she wasn't dead.
That's... Bro, you just admitted you tried to resurrect a lady?
Yeah, he did. Because he's fucking lunatic.
He's a lunatic.
Okay. So Feyre and Lucien, they talk. They have more exposition. And then eventually they all end up back at dinner. And Feyre straight up is like, you know what? These twins, they fucking. And it's just gross. It's like she has like a whole long thought. Like, these twins are fucking.
I like that Feyre, who I picture almost like...
she's like a homeschooled girl.
Like
she's
a
homeschooled girl.
golden retriever girl who like it's just like, oh, a squirrel, oh, this, and like not really paying attention to a lot. For her to be like, wait a minute, guys.
Yeah, no, because
it's
also
gotta be like they're making out.
Also because they also have mind reader powers and they try to get in her head.
Yeah,
and she like uses the defenses that Rysand taught her to be like no, and like grabs her little mind hands and like twists it, like fuck you. All right, so like there's a lot of that happening. Feyre eventually like the dinner ends and then remember Alice? No. Alice is the maid.
Oh, okay.
Remember?
Like in the Brady Bunch.
Yeah,
Alice
exactly. It's 100%. This is spelled ALIS because she's a fairy.
Or a Mormon.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, Alice tells Feyre that she, Alice, lied to Tamlin in book 2.
Okay.
When Feyre screamed for help and Morrigan showed up and like helped her leave the night court, leave to go to the night court.
Yeah.
Alice lied and said that Morrigan showed up and kidnapped her against her will.
Okay.
But she was like, I was there. She's like, I saw your shit. Like, I saw you just straight up being like, I need to get out of here. And then on top of that, you melted your wedding ring. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I found the melted wedding ring and I threw it out.
Oh, okay.
She's like, I protected your ass, and I know that you came back here under false pretenses, but I ain't saying shit.
Okay.
She straight up looks at her. It's like one of the scenes from like that movie, The Help. She's like, I'm not saying shit.
Yeah.
She's like, but whatever you're gonna fucking do, leave my fucking nephews out of this shit.
Yeah.
Because remember in book 1, she made this big deal, but she has these hidden nephews that she's been protecting. It was like her sister's kids or whatever.
Okay.
But she makes like a big deal about it.
I think that Alice now feels to me like the staff from the Downton Abbey.
Yes.
Like she's just like, no, I know all of your secrets.
Yeah. She's like, I know everything.
Yeah.
I know everything. Don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck with me.
Yeah. So now the next day,
I would read a book about Alice.
I would too.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd rather hear about her.
I think Alice would be an incredible book.
Because here's the thing, Feyre. Do you know that song "Look What You Made Me Do" by Taylor Swift?
Yes.
Look what you made me do. This whole section of the book is that coded.
Okay.
Because it's very much she'd just be like, "Oh look, he thought I was going to use a salad fork, but instead I gave him the fucking shrimp fork."
What?
It's very much like her. She, from this moment forward, she's playing games with the court and like trying to like twinge. She's doing that thing where like you tap on somebody's right shoulder, but you're on their left.
Yeah.
And then they look, and then they're like,
she's
"What?"
She's just slightly inconveniencing everybody.
She's slightly inconveniencing everybody, just enough to drive them all against each other.
Okay.
And then we're gonna start doing that now.
Okay. Cool.
So Ianthe, remember Ianthe? Mm-hmm. That pop quiz. Who's Ianthe?
White Beyonce.
Okay, but after that joke, what's her role?
That I don't know.
She's the priestess.
Sure.
She's the blonde priestess.
Okay.
And it's the summer solstice in the spring court.
Oh, the time for that horny party again?
Yes, but they make a big deal about how the Tamlin's not doing it this year. Lucien did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody else is hosting.
And then, but fair enough. Somebody point out, like, why didn't he make Lucien do it last time?
Yeah.
Like he made this whole thing, but like, I can't not fuck somebody. And it's like, apparently you can. Apparently you can be like, you be the guy who can't not fuck somebody.
Yeah.
And Lucien was basically assaulted by Ianthe during that.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, there's a lot about how Ianthe is a predator towards men, and like how often, because she went after Rysand at one point, she went after Tamlin a bunch of times, like Lucien, she's like abused these guys, and she's very much being like, what? Men can't say no. Like, he's very much like that. He's like written into the underscore of it.
Okay.
Which feels really gross. Anyway, so Ianthe makes everybody wake up super early.
Ugh,
and
gross.
Not for brunch.
Bro.
They got to go to church.
No.
They go and they have to stand on this hill in front of an altar with everybody else as she prays to the sun for the summer solstice. Mm-hmm. But the thing is like she's trying to become friends with Feyre again, so she let like Feyre help plan it.
Okay.
And so Feyre was part of the plans.
The planning committee.
And Feyre knew that Ianthe placed a stone in a location, kind of like as like stage tape.
Okay.
So like, oh, this is where I need to stand. So when the sun rises, the first light beam will hit me.
Yeah, nice.
And
Smart.
she went and she moved the stone 6 inches to the left.
Honestly? Okay.
And so when the sun came over,
So her selfie wasn't as good?
it wasn't as good. Not only was it not as good, the light beam hit Feyre. Yeah, bitch. And then Feyre was like threw a little extra glamour on there that no one knows that she can do. And she made herself shine even more. And so all of the people knelt to Feyre because they were like, oh my God, she is the blessed. Feyre is the blessed.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel me?
She put on some glitter highlighter.
Yes, she did. She 100%. And that made everybody mad.
Yeah.
Okay. That night, Feyre has a nightmare.
Oh no.
And she wakes up and she crosses the hallway to Lucian's room because she just needs somebody to console her.
Red-haired, glass-eyed Lucian.
Yeah, so she goes to Lucian. And now Lucian's room is right across the hall from Feyre's room. She and Tamlin aren't staying in the same room right now
because she's
needs,
married to someone else.
But also in Tamlin's mind, she just needs space. She's still getting over all of the things that happened to her.
Right. Okay.
And so she's playing them on that. And then like Tamlin also like keeps turning into a dog and like sitting in front of doors and shit like that. Like he's weird. And but she can't go to her old room because when she left in book 2, Tamlin punched out all of the drywall. He just white guy just I gotta beat up objects.
Okay, Josh.
I gotta beat up some objects.
Oh no.
And so that's what he did.
Yeah.
He ran around, he punched holes in all that, and so and then didn't fix it. He has magic. He
Why
can just
the
fix
fuck
it.
is a castle made of drywall at this point?
You know what? I don't know. It might be the wood, but I'm just telling you in the metaphor I'm using.
Yeah,
it's basically
it's funnier
drywall.
if it's drywall.
It's funnier if it's drywall. So they moved her room across from Lucian.
I like that they didn't fix it. They just did another room.
They just did another room.
That-
And
yep.
they have magic.
That checks out.
They have magic and servants and infinite money.
And they were like, nah, you know what? Nah.
She's been home for like a month. Like this could have already been done.
Nope.
Yeah. Anyway, so she runs across the hall to Lucian, and she like, oh, I had such a nightmare. Can you hold me? And she reaches in and she holds her. Oh, Lucian, I don't feel safe. And then Tamlin walks in because she left the door open.
Just a crack.
Just a
the
crack.
dog came sniffing.
And then Tamlin's like, what's going on? And he looks and he sees Feyre in Lucian's arms late at night, and Feyre wearing silky lingerie.
Oh no.
And then she's like, oh, I should leave. And then she walks out. And then she admits she had set it all up. She hadn't had a nightmare. This was all her plan.
Oh, to make
I'm
him
sorry,
jealous?
because the real Feyre can't come to the phone right now. Why? Because she's dead. Oh, look what you made me do. Look what you made me do.
Oh no.
It's so fucking, it's so.
Oh, no.
Listen. I remember as I was reading it, I was like, this bitch thinks she's done something. Like that's the whole, and I'm just like, and these guys are falling for it because she is 20.
Yep.
And all of these fairies are like 1,000 years old with like 14 years of experience.
Yep.
14 years of interpersonal experience.
Yep.
They all have Arrested Development.
Yep.
So the next day, Lucia, Feyre, Jurian, and the twins, they head to a different hole in the wall. This is hole 2.
Why are there so many holes in the wall?
There's 3 holes.
This is a terrible wall.
It's just 3 holes. I don't like saying that. I don't like yelling there's 3 holes. That feels gross. That feels gross.
Does that make it feel better?
Yeah, 3 holes. Okay, now, so Feyre asks Lucian if there's any way for Tamlin to get out of the deal he made with Hybern. And Lucian says no. The king of Hybern is basically a lawyer, wrote this bargain real good, no way out. And magic would strike Tamlin dead if he doesn't allow Hybern's armies to march across his lands.
Okay.
He says it will claim Tamlin's power or his life. And it's like, well, who gives a shit? Feyre and Lucian finally find the hole, the second hole. Because like they know where they are, but they kind of like move around a little bit. They find the second hole in the wall, and standing on the other side of it are 3 children of the blessed.
What's that mean?
Okay, you don't remember them. They're from the very beginning of book 1. These are humans who wear cloaks, who walk around, who fucking love fairies. They're like, fairies are the best. We were better.
Oh, they're cult people. I remember this.
Yeah. They're cult people who were super into fairies, even though nobody in the human lands has seen fairies forever.
Yeah.
They are. And Feyre is like, get the fuck out of here. And then the creepy twins show up and they're like, hey.
No.
Hey. By the way, they call themselves Children of the Blessed, but they're I want to say between 17 and 20.
Okay.
Like they're not like little kids, but they are children.
Yeah.
Anyway, the creepy twins are like, come over here. We want to play with you. But they say it all creepy. They say it all creepy and fucked up.
Yeah.
But Feyre enters their mind, which nobody knows that she can do. She enters their mind and she tells the kids to like fuck off. Like she scares them away and the kids run away. And Jurian kind of pulls Feyre to the side and he's like, thank you for protecting the twins. And then he shares more of his backstory about like, he's like, Rhysand was one of the good ones. Basically, like he basically is like, I loved Rhysand. Like Rhysand was such a G during the war, and like every other High Lord's a bag of shit.
Yeah,
but that guy,
the guy with the bat wings,
with the bat wings, he's cool as fuck.
Yeah,
and she's like, okay, cool. And then they go to sleep, and Lucian and Feyre
still at the hole in the wall.
Yeah, because they're just like at their tent because it takes like a day to get back.
Oh, okay.
So and they spend all day like looking at the hole, and so
they look over in the tent that has the twins in it and rocking.
Well, they go to sleep, and then they wake up to the smell of blood, and they open their tent, and they discover that the twins had gone through the hole, captured the 3 children of the Blessed, dragged them back, and tortured them to death outside of their tent.
And they didn't hear? They didn't wake up?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
But like we're by the campsite. Like close enough.
I thought they were going to eat them.
It doesn't really go into too much graphic detail, but
That's
it's
good.
But which is good. But it's very clear that it's just like sexual violence.
Oh God!
Like it's just the way they keep doing that.
Ugh.
It just keeps coming up at a rate that you're just like,
okay.
Sarah, have you talked to a therapist?
Oh God. Okay, so the creepy twins, murdered innocent people.
Yeah, and so there's a whole thing where they get revenge on the twins by sicking like a wild animal on them. Mm-hmm. It doesn't kill them, but it does chase them around, make them annoyed, and so.
I can't deal with her whole like plot arc or whatever it is, just like being like, I'm just slightly annoying. I'm a waiting room, you know? I'm just
Feyre is the waiting. Yeah, you're the princess of waiting rooms, not princess of carry-on.
Oh, the temperature is just a little too cold in here.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And you know what? We have been going here for a bit, so why don't we take a quick break?
Okay. Oh my God, we've been going for a while.
Yeah, we've been going for a while. I feel like this is going to be a super long episode because I'm not even through part 1 yet, and we're already 40 minutes in. So we're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, I'm going to tell you about how part 1 ends.
Okay.
All right. Right after this. If you're popping the question this holiday season, you want to do it right. Blue Nile has you covered with gorgeous engagement rings. They're the original online jeweler since 1999. On BlueNile.com, you can create a big, brilliant piece at a price you seriously won't find anywhere else. Blue Nile even offers a diamond price guarantee, which means that in most cases, they can meet or beat a competitor's price on a comparable diamond. Get the diamond you want at a price that fits your budget. With guaranteed service and repairs for life, you've got nothing to lose. Even if your partner says no, Blue Nile has a 30-day return policy, so just your ego gets hurt, not your pocket. Right now, go to BlueNile.com and use code TABS for $50 off your purchase of $500 or more. That's $50 off with code TABS, T-A-B-S, at BlueNile.com. BlueNile.com, code TABS.
Fairies
Fairies fucking,
railing all day,
railing all day.
Sexy fairies with big bat wings, please carry me away.
And we're back. Okay, now.
Okay.
So the freak twins killed humans. Feyre got a little bit of light retribution against them. You actually don't even like read it. Like you're told about it off camera.
Okay.
Like it's like they cut and Tam's like, you shouldn't have done that. And it's like, it would have been better to hear like them do that because there's so many unnecessary chapters in this book. I'm like, at least put that in. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's this creature called like the Boog.
The Boog?
The Boog. And it's like, it's mentioned and described in prior books, and I don't really quite remember it, but it's just like a big, scary, like
booger
forest monster.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, they had like, it's just like picturing 2 weird incest twins who I picture wearing like all black.
Oh, I was picturing them in like light gold cloaks. with very blonde hair.
No, because like the evil people in this book are like evil.
Got it.
So it's all very much like they're like, oh yeah, we all wear like black, even though like the good guy actually also wears black leather, but they wear it like freaks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they have like spiky hair. In my head, they have like spiky hair, and like their faces are a little bit too round.
This is so specific.
I don't know. I had like a very picture of like a really shitty. Honestly, out of anything, the Freak Twins, they're done in AI. They have that Uncanny Valley AI feature in my head. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So Tamlin and Feyre have a huge argument about this.
Mm-hmm.
Because Tamlin's like, you undercut me by getting retribution yourself on the fucking twins.
Okay.
That's going to fuck up my shit with Hybern. And Feyre's like, they're murderers. And he's like, yeah, but they killed humans.
Yeah.
And she's like, bitch, I was a human. He's like, yeah, but you're different. And she's like, he's like, you're one of the good ones. And she's like, whoa, what the fuck? And they go back and forth a little bit. And then finally Tamlin, just like a white guy in the suburbs, he just explodes.
Yeah.
And like literally when Tamlin's rage explodes, like he actually explodes. Like this huge like wind explosion comes out and like blows everything up. The last time he did this, she threw up a shield at the last minute because fairies can create like magic bubbles around themselves. But she knew he would blow up. Yeah. Because
she's been poking him.
She's been poking him. And so she didn't throw up a shield on purpose.
Yeah.
And so the blast hits her, throws her against the wall. She has like a cut on her cheek. But this happens directly in front of Tamlin's guards. Okay. Who were extremely loyal to him. Like these are like his Praetorian guards. These are his boys. Remember, the wolf that she killed in book 1, that was one of his guards. He had to send one of his guards every year to the human lands to like be murdered to find the woman who would break the curse. Yeah. And so his guard's like, we sacrificed ourselves one by one to go find this lady. Now you're beating her up. Yeah. And so like she does that completely. And it's like, it's starting to split the guards. The guard's like, that's fucked up. Yeah. I didn't sign up to be protecting a woman beater. You know what I mean? Now, that night, a thing happens where there are these creatures called Nagas, N-A-G-A. Okay. Okay? Mm-hmm. N, not M.
Yep.
Okay. So a bunch of Nagas get into, I know, it's difficult to say. How about this? Swamp creatures. Okay. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. So these weird swamp creatures get into the estate. And like it's a whole thing because like the keys were left in the gate and like and something happened. But Ianthe wakes up. Ianthe. She has a vision.
Oh, sure.
And the vision told her that something bad was going to happen. She's able to like raise the alarm and they're able to kill these monsters before anything bad happens.
So the thing on her phone with the Nest camera out front.
Yeah, the motion detector went off in her dreams.
Oh, there's swamp people outside.
But what really had happened was Ianthe stole the keys from a guard that she had knocked out. Okay. And then the guard got the blame. Yep. And then Tamlin whips the guard. And again, this is more of a wedge between Tamlin and his guards. So like, you're going to listen to this hoe over your bros. And it becomes a whole thing, right? Because these are the guards. The guards like, yo, we guards, bros for life. And he's like, you fucked up though. And so again, they're like.
Also like we're talking about like you messed up with a key. Like you just write him up. You don't beat him up.
No, he whips the shit out of him. Wow. Like literally whips him. Alice, the maid, at this point is like turns to Feyre that night after all this, and or maybe that's that morning. I can't remember when, but she's like, "Hey, just so you know, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm taking my boys."
Yeah. Okay.
She's like, "Yo, this place is fucked."
Yeah, I get this. I get Alice.
I'm heading to Canada.
Bye.
She's like, "I'm going to Canada, except it's warm there. It's north of here and warmer." It's
Perfect.
confused.
Makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, she's like, "I'm going to the summer court." And Feyre, she's like, yeah, I'm going to summer court. You can always visit me there if you want. And she's like, there's a bounty on my head in the summer court. And she's like, well, I'm there. She's
nice.
like, well, I won't try to kill you if you visit, but like someone else might. I'm fucking this whole world's fucked, idiot. Yeah. So Alice just leaves. And then the usual gang of Feyre, Lucien, Jurian, and the Freak Twins go to wall hole number 3.
The worst crew.
It's the worst blunt rotation in history.
Worst crew of them all.
Yeah, the worst brunch you've ever imagined. Round 3.
As a server, not that I would eat with these people. Huh?
So when they get there, they're chit-chatting, and everyone gets like a little bit looser. about like what they're talking about, because now it's like their third one. They're
It's
like,
the third hole. They've been the other two.
yeah.
Once you're at the third hole,
Yeah, listen.
you're more than acquaintances.
Listen, when you've already stretched out 2 holes and you're heading for the third, there's a bond, you know?
More
So
than
anyway,
just friends.
she finds out that Hibernia has an army of over 200,000 troops, and that they have some allies from the continent that are joining in. She also learns the how they're going to use the cauldron. Yeah. What I told you earlier about shoving it in the wall. And then Feyre goes down like her mental checklist, and she's like, "Got it. I've knocked off everything I wanted to do. I've ruined Tamlin's relationship with his guards. I've told everybody that Ianthe isn't shit.
Yep.
I've checked off like who their allies are and their troop strength. I've gotten basically every piece of information I can get." And she's like, "You know what? I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Okay.
I'm getting out of here." And
she's
then,
like, "You're not getting my third hole. I'm leaving."
Exactly. And she gets her bag because she's like, "I got stuff in my bag. I got like enough to like get me to the night court."
Yeah.
So she's getting ready to leave, and all of a sudden she hears Lucien yelling not to touch it. And she like looks, and she finds Lucien is chained up by Ianthe, who is like getting creepy like predator on him.
Okay.
And she's like, "What the fuck?" And she realizes that Ianthe is using these same magic blue chains that she had seen the King of Hybern people using before.
Okay.
That like nullifies people's powers. So Feyre enters Ianthe's mind, and she like, "You're gonna let Lucien free now." And like Ianthe can't stop, and she just like lets him go.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Pick up that stone over there." She picks up a stone. She's like, "Put your hand on that boulder." She puts her hand on the boulder, and she's like, "Start smashing your hand." So she makes her like break her own hand.
Okay.
With a rock.
Nice.
Which is like crazy. But also I was like, all right, that's the first like non-Taylor Swift thing you've done. Like that's the first like, you've been sitting like dressing up like a snake and being like, "I'm a snake" in the background, but now instead you're like, "Break your own fucking hand, you bitch." I was like, "Yeah, good."
I listened to that album.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, torture that poet. So
oh no.
And so she's like,
who's her biggest enemy? It's her.
Yeah. So then she's like, Lucian's like, "I'm coming with you. I need to go see Elaine." She's like, "You're
Elaine?"
Yeah, remember the girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why do you think? Oh, you're thinking from Seinfeld?
No, because there's just so many crazy names, and
yeah.
then it's like,
fuck you.
Elaine.
No, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you forever. It's Nesta and Elaine. Remember?
Yeah, I know. I remember now.
Okay. Fuck you.
Elaine.
Do you have any idea how many of these I had to keep straight? Do you have any even idea how many of these names are only like one letter different? So she's like, "Okay, I guess you can come." And then right then they get attacked by the Freak Twins and captured. Because the Freak Twins
spies.
They tell them, they're like, "Oh, remember that apple you ate earlier? We put Faebane in it."
Faebane?
Faebane is some sort of magic plant that grows in Hybern that can nullify a fairy's power.
Okay. There's too many obstacles to your power.
There's so many. It's like they're like, "Oh yeah, no, my secret weakness, bullets." Like, you know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ. Eventually.
Also, if the twins gave me an apple, I would not eat it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but inside the apple, they had laced it with Faebane, and they're like, "You've been secretly drugged, and this is gonna leave you powerless for days. And we got you.
Bitch.
Like, we also caught you. You killed Ianthe." And Feyre has just enough power left that she and Lucien are able to kill the twins. She like bam, bam. She does this thing called winnowing, which is like the Nightcrawler bamf, where she's like, poof, 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 poof. You know what I mean?
No.
She like puffs and then appears somewhere else.
Oh,
and then
okay.
Puffs and then appears somewhere else.
Got
so
it.
she can do like these short range teleports, and they don't know she can. Nobody knows she can do this shit.
Yeah.
Lucien knew like a little bit because he saw her do it in book 2, but he never brought it up. Like Lucien goes out of his way to like not mention a lot of things.
Yeah.
He's what's that thing? A lie of omission.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, you hate a lie of omission.
I hate a lie of omission.
Yeah, because you're like, "Bitch, you know I wanted that information. You left it out."
Oh.
So, lie of omission. They kill the twins.
Okay, honestly, great.
It's great.
Perfect.
And it's actually a pretty well written scene.
Ianthe and twins dead.
No, Ianthe's still alive. She just has smashed hands.
Oh, okay. I was wondering because you were saying, "Oh, well, she attacked him." Okay, got it.
Yeah, she smashed her. She had her smash her own hands with a rock.
Both hands.
Just one.
Okay.
She had to. You can't only smash one.
I know. That's why I was saying that, because it's hard enough to paint both of your nails.
Yeah.
Both your hands' nails.
Yeah, exactly. So she smashed her own hands with a rock on a thing, and then I think the one Quinn they decapitate, and the other one I think they just stab a bunch.
Okay, guys.
But now they're out of power.
Oh, okay.
So they can't teleport.
So now they're just gonna
they have to walk.
vibe out in the woods.
They have to walk.
Oh, gross.
They have to walk.
Like the commoners.
They have to walk the entire breadth of England into Scotland, because that is where they have to walk all of England.
Okay.
Because remember, they're in the Supreme Court. That's like the South.
Yep.
That's like the Midlands of England,
Okay.
and they got to walk all the way to like northern Scotland, because that is where Rysand is.
Okay. I mean, what's that? Walking from the bottom of Jersey to the top of Jersey?
I mean, it's a little bit longer than that. It's a little longer than that.
No, I'm kidding. It's very much that American thing of like where you're like, what? How big could it be?
No, to be fair, there is no drive in England that is anywhere near as long as the drives we've done for commutes.
I'm obsessed with that. I'm obsessed with when that was going viral on the internet. For people that don't know, in the middle of the pandemic, there was like people going viral because people from the UK were finding out that people in the US like have really long commute times for work.
Yeah.
Or like when they go home to visit, they'll drive like 3 hours. Or if they're going to like visit someone they love, they'll drive 7 hours. Like it's not a thing in American culture to care about that.
Yeah.
But in the UK, like people will be like, oh, I haven't visited my dad in 5 years. And they're like, how far away is he? A 45-minute drive. Yeah. And it's like it doesn't comprehend to them that we drive so much.
The European mind cannot comprehend a 22-mile daily commute.
Yeah. I'm like, we both did that.
Yeah. And the thing is, that's a one direction.
Yeah.
One direction, 22 miles.
Yeah.
Then 22 back.
22 back.
Bitch.
In the middle of traffic.
At the worst times of day. To do a job. Actually, you went further.
Yeah.
You were 35. Mm-hmm. To do a job.
An online job.
You drove
into an internet job.
She drove into the city to answer a Zoom call.
I almost flipped the table.
And Lucian's like, hey, I'm going to walk with you. I know a shortcut. And she's like, okay. And he's like, I'll help you get back, but I want to see Elaine. And he's like, we're going to have to walk, though. And that's the end of part 1. That's the end of part 1.
Wow.
That's the Princess of Carry-On. So what are your thoughts here on part 1?
A lot. Okay. I was introduced to the twins, and now the twins are dead.
Yeah. The twins, to be fair, they never felt like that fleshed out of a character.
Yeah.
They were just weird little like fuck monsters.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh no, I hate them.
Yeah. And okay, but now we're walking to Night Court.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I think I'm ready. I got my feet on the ground.
Fairies fucking, railing all day, Sexy fairies with big bat wings, please carry me away.
I'm obsessed every time, but now it's time for part 2.
Yeah.
Cursebreaker.
I'm excited.
Okay, good. You should be excited because we're gonna walk a lot now.
Okay, great.
Most of the beginning of
Lord
Cursebreaker.
of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. It's Feyre and Lucian. He takes her through the Autumn Court.
Yeah.
That's where his dad and his brothers reign.
Yep.
And so he's like, we got to be real quiet. We got to take a lot of ducks. But luckily, I grew up here. Mm-hmm. So you get a little bit about his backstory, about how like he fell in love with a girl who they didn't accept. Mm-hmm. So they murdered her in front of him.
Wait, I'm sorry. They didn't accept her, so they murdered her?
Yeah, that's just what they do at his place. I mean, the thing is like, again, the fairies suck.
Yeah.
Like, I can't stress about how like fairy culture is bad.
Yeah.
Fairies in general, evil.
Yeah.
There's like...
You just like, hey, you're not allowed to get married.
There's like 3 good ones.
Okay.
Okay? Like there's 3 good fairies. She just happens to keep meeting those.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more than that, but like the High Lords especially, they're all fucking crazy.
Yeah, of course.
So they take this cave passage to the Autumn Court, which gets them from spring to autumn, and then they spend a night in a cave. And
spring to autumn, they just skip in summer.
They skip summer because summer is on the right.
No, I'm kidding. It was a joke about how weather works.
Oh yeah. Well, if anything, we get less autumn. So so one of the things that Lucian admits, is that he knew Feyre was faking it the whole time.
Okay.
Because he was like, yeah, I didn't say anything because, like, if I had said something, number one, Tamlin wouldn't have believed me, so it wouldn't have fucking mattered.
Yeah.
And he's like, and number two, if I had caused any problems with your plans, I would never be able to see Elaine, my mate, again. Mm-hmm. And so he, like, just didn't say shit.
Yeah.
And which was probably a good move. Like,
Yeah.
at least in the story. It was a pretty good move. So they are going back and forth about, like, a bit of different stuff. She's really weirded out because Lucian's like already talking about Elaine like they're married, and she's like, "This is fucking weird." Because they also keep using, by the way, males, females, and mates at a rate that really fucking grosses me out.
Yeah.
Like they don't say like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, guy, no, gal,
No.
you know, any of that stuff. No, it's mate. And so there's very much a how can I put this? It's very much like a shifter romance.
What's a shifter?
Okay, don't make me do this.
But I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so you've never gone down the shifter romance corner of the internet?
No.
It's people who like to fuck like a werewolf because they shift into other animals.
Oh.
Or maybe like a werebear.
A werebear? No,
Or-
that sounds cute.
Or a were dinosaur.
Do they shift during it? Why would they be
Sure.
attracted to it?
It's just that we can just give animalistic qualities to things. It's really what it comes down to. It's just like, I really like doggy style. I'm into werewolves.
Oh.
That's kind of like how this kind of goes.
Okay.
But like every time she's talking, and by she I mean Sarah J Maas. Every time Sarah J Maas is writing about relationships in this world, it's not about men and women.
Yeah.
It is about males and females.
Yeah. Gross.
And it's about mates
yeah.
and bonds, not relationships.
The worst guy you know ever is calling a woman a female right now.
Yeah, it's very
These
Ferengi. It's
females.
Ferengi.
Yeah.
Female.
No, the Ferengis, I'm just like, okay, that's how the Ferengis
They don't allow
are.
women to wear clothes.
Listen, I'm talking about human men that are like these females, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, I know. I know how they vote. So now the so they go back and forth. Lucian warns Feyre that his dad,
Okay.
the High Lord of Autumn, his name's Baron or Baron, doesn't matter. It's with a B. This guy will get mad at her because Baron was one of the High Lords that helped her come back, right?
Yeah.
And when they did that, she got a little bit of all their powers.
Yes.
So she's like the Avatar in that way. She has all the powers. Baron's going to be mad that she took a little bit of his power, and he's going to want to kill her to get that power back.
Oh, so this is a very dangerous situation.
Very dangerous situation for them. So they keep walking through the Autumn Court. He gives more backstory. And then right before they get to the border between the Autumn Court and Winter,
Okay.
Lucian's brothers catch up.
All right.
And they find them.
Damn.
And I don't know if they named all the brothers, but the eldest one, the most important one, his name is Eris.
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 Okay.
Okay? Now, the thing is Lucian hates him.
Yeah.
And Feyre hates him.
Okay.
Because Eris was the guy who was betrothed to Morrigan
Okay.
when Morrigan cheated on him with Cassian.
Okay.
And then they nailed a note to her womb and left her in front of her family.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it happened.
Okay.
They did some sexual violence. And when that happened, that was the whole reason why like Morrigan isn't accepted by her family anymore, because they couldn't sell her off to make a new alliance.
Okay.
So she's always hated Eris.
Yeah.
And it's this whole thing. So they show up, and then immediately the brothers are like, the rumor going across all of Prithian is that you cucked Tamlin with Feyre, Lucian. You guys cucked Tamlin.
Okay.
And they're like, no. And then Feyre, like, uses her fire powers in front of them, which is, like, crazy.
Whoa.
And because, like, a little bit of her power is able to come back, and she uses it to collapse a cave as they're finally escaping through this one area. So they're unable to catch up. They finally cross into the Winter Court, and they're crossing, like, a big frozen lake. And that's when Lucian's brothers, specifically Eris, catch up with them.
On a lake.
On a frozen lake.
Okay.
And these guys, guess what?
Are they on horses?
No, they have fire powers, dummy.
Oh, they're going to melt the lake.
That's 100% what they're doing. But her power's starting to come back.
Oh, Yep.
So she uses
the Novocaine in her mouth is wearing
it's
off.
starting to wear off. She's getting a little tingly. It's 100% like how it's described, actually. So she's getting a little tingly, and she's running, and she's able to like refreeze the ice using the Winter Court King High Lord's powers.
Yeah.
Which, guess what? Winter powers, cold.
Yeah.
I do cold.
I do cold.
Yeah. It doesn't. So the part that doesn't make sense to me is like summer.
So the heat misers are going against the cold misers.
Yes, 100%. And so she's like refreezing the ice as they're running across it, but like enough of it breaks that she's finally able to send a signal down the Bond tattoo.
Oh, okay.
And then out of nowhere, Cassian and Azrael show up. Like boom, boom, and they do the superhero landing with their wings, and then they beat off the fucking brothers.
They beat them off?
They beat them off.
I don't think that's what you meant to say.
I know it's 100%. I was gonna say up, but I was like off is funnier. But they like, and then she stands up because now she's like, we got this shit. Yeah. This is awesome. And Feyre reveals that she's like, I am actually not, she's like, I didn't cuck Tamlin. I couldn't have because I've been married the whole time. I'm the mate to Rysand, and I am actually the High Lady of the Night Court. And she lets her High Lady of the Night Court.
I was thinking of the music.
I know. Oh, what? Which one?
The Night Court.
Oh.
Oh God.
That was too loud.
The High Lady of the Night Court.
Let me try it again. Ready?
Yeah.
Ready? In 3, 2, 1. I am the High Lady of the Night Court.
So she's Roz? No.
Now. Whoa. Okay. Everybody calm down.
Okay,
Everybody breathe.
We're getting too excited.
We're getting too excited. So she tells them that she could kill the brothers.
Okay.
But she has decided in her infinite wisdom to spare them.
Oh, all right.
And then the reunited friends, they fly home. The crew flies home.
The crew's back.
Azrael grabs Lucian. Mm-hmm. Cassian grabs her.
Batwings out.
And they fly back to Valeris.
Yeah.
Which is the city of dreams.
Yep.
In the Night Court. So they finally make it back to the townhouse, right? Because remember, that's a townhouse.
It's a townhouse.
Now, they call it a townhouse the entire time. I'm going to tell you from here on out, I'm calling it a row home because it's funnier. Because they make a big deal. That was one of the things that they really pushed in the book is all these other guys have these incredible palaces.
Yeah.
And all this opulence and wealth. And Rysand's just different. He just lives in a little townhouse.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the prime minister of Britain. You
Yeah.
know, he doesn't have a White House. He doesn't have a presidential palace. He just has a little 10 Downing Street.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the Rysand lives, in 10 Downing Street. Anyway, I hate it.
Yeah.
Because it's also like clearly like a 9-bedroom town. I'm like, this is like a fucking New York brownstone.
Yeah, a brownstone.
Yeah, but they keep calling it a townhouse. It's like, shut up. You try to make it seem quaint. It has a garden. I'm like, what are you talking about? Anyway, they get back there, and Rysand and Feyre are reunited.
Okay.
And he just like walks through. He's like, everybody out.
Oh, okay.
Everybody out.
That makes me nervous.
Because?
Shadow Daddy rocking a world. Fairies fucking.
So they see each other and they get right down to business.
Basically, yeah. And it's pretty graphic.
How far into this book are we? Like when you were reading it.
This is probably around like 30%.
Okay.
And like there's been times where she's been communicating him every now and then, like just to check if her sisters are safe. But then like even though she's in this dangerous situation, like he still throws like a little double entendre at her every now and then about like, oh, I'll lick you. You're like, what the fuck? We also get in like from here on out, there's an issue I had, which is I did not buy a physical copy of this book. I was reading it on digital because I was traveling and I didn't want to have the physical copy to lug around. I didn't realize it at that time that I didn't note, like I did in the last book, of like how often they just got to boning. Yeah. It's a lot more. However, let me tell you the differences in the boning between the books.
Oh, please tell me.
Book 1 is all about the edge.
Yeah.
Book 1 is very will they, won't they? Oh my God, they finally got together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, look at this.
Yep.
They're having the sex.
And then book 2.
And book 2 is mournful for most of it. There's the PTSD, and then it's the Stella got a groove back type of sex.
Yep.
Book 1 very much, though, is like the, oh my God, first timer type of sex.
Yep.
Book 2 very much more of the like the soup scene's a big deal. And again, there's a lot of flirtatious stuff. There's like the fingering in the throne and a bunch of other different things that kind of like happen. So it's a lot flirtier.
Yeah.
In a grosser way.
And then book 3?
Book 3 is kind of the, hey, you got a nut. It's more like we're in a relationship. He clearly needs a nut. And then he'll be like, she seems tense. She needs that nut. And so, but because it only happens for like 2 pages, it's not like a paragraph. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a couple paragraphs here. There's a lot of, and then he put his lips on my mound. No. Like, shit like that gets thrown at you a lot. And so I just didn't make a huge bunch of notes about it. And when I was going back and writing out my my book report, I used a Sparks Note page like as the thing, and they didn't really write down too much of the fucking.
Yeah.
So it's like I started going back, and I was like, I didn't highlight it. I'm not. This book is 800 pages long, and if I tried to hunt down because she doesn't say dick. She never says once. I think once she says, I grabbed him by the cock, like once. But every other time it's all about like sheathing his manhood. Her core turns molten a lot.
Yeah, a lot of molten cores.
A lot of molten cores, and you're just like, girl, just say you got wet.
No.
Like, no, they can't.
Absolutely not. Not in this Christian household.
No, not. And this is the type of book that you need to feel comfortable reading on a train.
I don't feel comfortable.
What?
And now I know. So if I see somebody reading book 3 on a train, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, you, hey, don't make eye contact with me right now.
Don't make eye contact. Don't look up, because I know what you're reading. You're reading about
Fairies fucking.
Now. So they bone. And they're happy about it. And
then everybody walks back in the room afterwards, like, "Hi guys."
So that was loud.
Hey guys. Because I just assumed that they all had to come back in the room after a minute.
Yeah, kind of. But he uses this much like in Game of Thrones, like the early seasons of Game of Thrones. They use fuck times as exposition dumps as well.
Yeah.
So he kind of tells her about like what's been going on since she left the spring court. And he even tells her like, hey, all of your plans at the spring court worked. Like they're all like in tatters down there and shit's bad. But he said that he got worried because once he couldn't hear her in the bond, it freaked him out.
Yeah.
So he got that. Now, he also tells her that her sisters, Nesta and Elaine, they've been sequestered in a place called the House of Wind the entire time. The House of Wind is like this like mountaintop kind of palace temple thing they have.
Okay.
And but it feels very much like one of those like uber rich people houses. You know what I mean? Where it's like you walk in and it's like, yeah, this is a library and there's one bookshelf and one chair. Like it's one of those type of places. It's very like modernish.
Yeah.
But also, what's that thing when rich people like have less stuff, but the things they have are very expensive?
Minimalism.
It's a minimalist house because it worships the wind.
Yeah. You don't want the wind to blow the stuff off your tables and shelves.
Yeah, but remember, there's like shields and stuff like that keep it warm up there. It's all magic. So then they're like,
so they've just been vibing out on the top of a wind mountain.
Yeah, they've just been up there, and like everyone's been kind of leaving them alone. They've been checking in on them.
Yeah, like,
but kind of like leaving them alone because they're also weirded out. Because again, remember, these girls were humans.
Yeah.
Dumped into a cauldron.
Yeah.
Dumped out, and then their sister's boyfriend kidnaps them.
Yep.
To unkidnap them. And then shoves them in a wind palace.
Yeah. And then their dad die.
No, they just don't know where their dad is. Their dad's just missing this entire time, by the way.
But he was never like great. So
he wasn't really great. He is missing, and they every now and then they're like, "Oh yeah, and Dad's still missing." Like they just like it just kind of pops up. By the way, I always picture their dad as like I think was it Beauty and the Beast, like the fat dad from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Of just kind of like balding with a mustache and kind of like roly-poly fat.
Yeah.
Like German fat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's like a very specific like German folktale fat.
Yeah, folktale.
Yeah. The mayor of Munchkinland. That's what I picture him looking like.
Yes. Also, this is also an ad for Wicked.
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 Are you holding space for Defying Gravity?
Hey, it's Wicked. Have you gotten a Wicked ad in the last 5 minutes?
Wicked. We're going to tell you the whole story of the pre-times of The Prince of Oz. Part 1. I lost my mind when I found out it's a 2-part movie. Yeah. I was like,
I can't go through another media blitz for a part 2.
No.
It's impossible.
I'm so tired.
What marriage is Ariana going to destroy?
Can I tell you? I am so tired of unnecessary part 2s as I'm looking at this and realizing we're going to have to do a part 2. This is gonna be a 2-part episode.
Yeah.
So, exposition. Lucian and Rice.
When you say exposition, you're not saying that mean they're just fucking, right?
No, I'm not. They're actually like there's just a lot of like there's so much extra shit that goes on that I'm just like, who gives a shit? And a lot of it too is like, oh, well, let's talk about how they feel about learning about this. I'm like, I don't give a fuck
about their feelings.
Lucian is like, I want to see Elaine, and Ryson's like, yo, shut the fuck up.
Nice.
And so Ryson like basically just threatens Lucian. And then they explain to Lucian, like, hey, just so you know, like, you've been a bad guy the whole time.
Yeah.
And Lucian's like, I didn't realize that I was the villain in your narrative.
Oh, God, Lucian. He has such fucking nice guy energy.
I know, and he definitely, like, is weaponizing. He's weaponizing fucking...
therapy talk.
Yeah, 100%. But anyway, this is that moment where you're like, oh, they need to rehabilitate someone from book 1.
Yeah.
That's what this is. And, like, he's on his rehabilitation arc now. Because he begs to be like, I want to see Elaine, and she's like, no.
She's like, hey, it's weird that you met my little sister for 1 minute, and now you've been obsessing about her for the rest of these books. That's weird behavior, my dude.
Yeah. And
he's like, oh, I'm sorry that you've crafted this narrative about me.
Yeah. Oh, I guess that's how you guys talk in the night court. Now, she tells him basically to take a walk. She's like, Lucian, go check out Valeris. Because that's the other thing, too. He's weirded out because he can't. Again, remember, one of the big parts of book 2 was about how everyone thought this land was evil. And then there's this secret city.
It's actually Gorgina.
It's Gorgina, and it's like Venice meets Edinburgh. Like, it's fucking crazy. Yeah. And it's amazing. And so he goes around. It's like, oh my God, this place is actually really nice.
Cool, nice.
This is a lot nicer than the fucking Spring Court, where we literally have one building and a bunch of burned out villages. So she goes to go visit her sisters finally. Yeah. And Nesta, total bitch. But rightfully so.
I mean, yeah, she's been trapped.
I just want to say that. No, but not only that, like, she was like ripped out of her home and then made into a fairy.
Yep.
And it's crazy. So Nesta's just like, fuck you. She's like, shows up. She's like, yo, this bitch, where you been?
Yeah.
Hiding out with your ex? Like, she's very, like, it's good. I enjoyed it. I will say, I like Nesta.
Yeah, Team Nesta.
Elaine is a broken, sad girl who needs a well. She needs to be leaning on a well and just staring into it.
Yeah.
She won't stop crying. She's refusing food. And she keeps bringing up the fact that she was supposed to be getting married soon to a human lord who's super racist at fairies.
Okay, well, babes.
Yeah, and she won't take off her engagement ring, which is iron, which the humans believe can kill fairies. It can't.
It can't kill them.
But she keeps just like kind of spinning that. And Feyre notices that Cassian is like clearly is making fuck me eyes at Nesta.
Oh.
The general, Cassian, he's like, he's like, she got fiery. It's, you know what it is?
It's the guy from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's the guy from Game of Thrones.
And Brienne
Tarth. He's just like, where's the big girl? I like the girl. She got fiery energy. I like her.
We make big children.
Yeah, we make large
babies.
Yeah, and the thing is, this Feyre just like looks at that, and that doesn't bother her at all.
No,
she's just like, noted. I'm gonna play matchmaker, and this is basically from here on out. Feyre's just like, Feyre again is the homeschool girl who never could afford dolls.
Yeah.
So she's trying to like and now kiss. That's what she wants to do. Again, another we already covered the Lucian thing. I actually skipped it early on that. But anyway, then they go see Amren.
Okay.
Right? Because she tells Lucian, she's like, go fuck off and go walk around town. He's like, fine, takes a walk around town. So then everybody goes to see Amren. Now, Amren, do you remember who that is?
No.
I told you 2 hours ago.
Yeah, I know, and I don't remember.
Okay.
And I'm betting that if a listener who is also listening to this episode, maybe they don't remember. So just quickly refresh us.
Amren is the eldritch horror that lives inside of a little old lady.
Right. Okay, got it.
Who's super cool.
Yeah.
You loved her when I explained her last time. And honestly, she's pretty cool. She's pretty cool. She explains about in the last one, remember they had an evil talking book?
Yes.
And they had to put them together. Mm-hmm. Where they're like, don't put them together, but then they put them together, and then everything went sideways. She's like, the book's been talking.
Yeah.
And then there's more exposition, and they kind of have like the crew has like a war council where they explain the size of Hybern's forces, how they would love it if they could find Dracon and Miriam and then if they could bring them and their forces, but nobody knows where the fuck they are. Because they're like, we sent people to go look at Cretia, and there's nothing there. It's just some ruins. And then they come up with their plans, and their plans are to unite the 7 High Lords against Hybern and put together a big, massive army.
Okay.
Rysand says that he believes that the people of Hybern, which is Ireland, will turn against their evil king because he's been over there and he's seen it. And he's like, everything there sucks.
Yeah.
And Moore points out, it's like, no, they won't turn against their king because the people of Hybern thinks everything sucks because we made them get rid of their slaves.
Oh.
And I disassociated a little bit with that.
Yeah.
I was like,
right on the nose on that one, huh? So all the people in that area think that everything wrong in the world is because they had to get rid of their free workers.
Yeah, they were like, you know what? Honestly, I feel like everything in Hybern would be better. We could make Hybern great again if we got rid of all this DEI.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So Amren says, hey, I got a plan. We can try and repair and close the holes in the wall.
3 holes.
We can make those 3 holes tight again.
Oh, Jesus.
We're going to tighten them up. We're going to give them a little rejuvenation spell surgery.
No.
All right. But she notes that the cauldron must be missing something if they need to use the holes to break the wall.
Okay.
They're like, a cauldron should be able to knock this fucker out from just over there. It shouldn't have to touch the wall to do it. And Feyre and Amren then get into an argument because Amren's like, hey, listen, you and your sisters and me, we were all, quote, made by the cauldron.
Yeah.
And so, like, we're all made people. We're not of this world in the same way. We weren't born of the dirt. We're special. Mm-hmm. She's like, your sisters could help me with, like, the spells and such.
Yeah.
And you could help me. And Feyre says, like, they have an argument about it. She's like, my sisters have been through enough. And then finally they land on, Feyre says, like, okay, fine. My sisters can help, but they have to choose to help.
Yeah.
It has to be 100% free will on that. I'm not forcing them to do anything because they got forced into the cauldron because of my existence.
Yeah.
You know, so she's taking a lot of survivor's guilt in there. So then Rysand says, listen, we have to go back to the Court of Nightmares.
Oh.
Do you remember where that is?
Bottom cave one.
Yeah. It's in what's called the Hewn City. It's like a city that's cut into a mountain.
Yeah.
And they have to ask Morrigan's father, Keir, for help. Keir. Keir. Now, I was giggling this entire time because between me reading the first book or the second book and now, the Labour Party has won elections in England.
Yep.
And their prime minister is now a guy named Keir Starmer.
Yep.
So the whole time I'm just picturing Keir Starmer as like her shitty dad. Because there's some dumb rule they have there because the Court of Nightmares in the Hewn City is like its own thing. They have autonomy between them and the High Lord of the Night Court. Now, the reason is he needs to go speak to them is they have a type of soldier there called a Darkbringer.
Oh, a Darkbringer.
So this is just like some sort of like special foot troop that like they have. And he's like, we need every soldier we can get. So we have to go there and we need to ask for his help. I can't just command it.
So to get these extra guards.
To get the, not guards, it's like actual troops, just regular soldiers. And like, okay. And then Feyre's like, hey, just so you know, I figured out how to grow wings. And everyone's like, what? And she's like, because again, she has shape-shifting powers from Tamlin.
Yeah.
She's like, I've been working on it. And then she like throws out, she's like, I got bat wings now too. She's like, but I don't know how to use them. And so they kind of argue over who's going to train them. And they eventually choose Azriel, the burned shadow singer guy. Remember, he's covered in burns.
How to train your dragon over here.
Yeah. And the reason why is because everyone else who has wings learns how to fly as a baby. Yeah. And he's like, no, I had to learn to fly as an adult, and it's different. And I started thinking about you.
I was about to say,
this is you with your driver's license because you didn't get it until your 30s.
Yeah. Which
is very different than getting it when you're 16 because you have been in car accidents and you've seen what cars can do. And so the terror is different.
Listen, I cannot explain to the people that learn how to drive when they're 16. When you're driving down a 2-lane road where each car is going the opposite direction, right?
Yeah.
And you're driving and another car is coming in the opposite direction and there's only this thin little yellow line between you and you're going like 40 miles per hour and you're going towards each other. It is so hard to get used to. Yeah. And like a 16-year-old's brain that's not fully developed and doesn't have any fear is like, yeah, sure. Okay. And y'all got used to it. Y'all built up your immunities against how fucking terrifying a two-way street is, a two-way road. And I didn't have that when I was 34 years old. And I was like, y'all, this is crazy. I have something to live for.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Like, there are cars driving at you and they're only 2 feet in the other direction and they're doing 60 on some roads. Mm-hmm. It's nuts so that we live like this.
Well, you know what's not even scarier too? So if you're doing 40 and that other car's doing 60, you're actually doing 100 at each other.
Yeah.
Because you add the forces together.
I can't.
So yeah.
That's why you catch me on the regional rail.
I know. So again.
So they're like, you need to get a grown up to teach her how to drive.
Yes.
Or teach her how to fly.
100%. So Azrael is like, yeah, and he's like, listen, I understand the fear, and he's like, I'll teach you. And then Cassian's like, well, you also need to learn how to fight with a sword because of this Faebane shit. You don't always have your powers. So you need to learn how to like actually fight. So she's going to train with Cassian for like physical fighting. So after
she's eaten Faebane, they're going to give her a sword?
No. Like if she gets hit with Faebane.
Yeah, then it's very funny though. It's like she's powerless, but she'll have a sword.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So Feyre and Nesta then have a chat about the wall hole plan.
Okay, wall hole.
Wahole. And she tells her like Amren can teach you magic, and Nesta agrees eventually, but only if they promise to murder all of the human queens that betrayed them and the king of Hybern.
Honestly,
because Nesta is that bitch.
I was about to say
Nesta is that bitch, and I love her.
Okay.
Nesta is fucking amazing. Then they're like, hey, listen, we're going to have a big meeting with all the High Lords. It'd be really great, Nesta, if you could come there and like tell your story, and maybe that could help like, you know, like in the negotiations, and people would understand like what we're going up against.
Yeah.
And she was like, absolutely the fuck not. I am not out here to grovel in front of your fucking High Lords. I'm not out here to be using your fundraising sob story email, bitch. Fucking miss me, Nancy Pelosi, with your goddamn text messages. Fuck you. And you better not look at my sister to ask her to do this shit. And they're just like, okay. And they just like back out of the room. So we get a few chapters here with Feyre trains with Cassian and Azrael. Mm-hmm. And then they go to, guess what? The library.
What? Oh, because she knows how to read now, baby.
Yeah, but also it's really just because they're looking for like special spells that might be in the libraries that Amren might need to help teach Nesta. They're also looking at like backstory about like the wall and about the cauldron. And they're just looking for like anything at all.
They're just doing research.
They're just doing their own research. Mm-hmm. And when they're there, they get some backstory about how most of the libraries in the world got burned to the ground.
Yeah.
Because the the Fae were worried that humans would get a hold of magic books and use it against them. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, humans don't have magic. And he's like, some do, because they're like part Fae, because there used to be a lot more half Fae around. And she's like, what happened to them? And he's like, oh, don't worry about it.
So what I'm hearing is that they destroyed the books because they were scared of information. Of other people learning information that they felt would make them too powerful.
Yes, 100%.
And intelligent. Okay. Yeah,
but
no, I don't.
We also find out in the basement of this library, the library is like a spiral.
Yeah.
That seems to go eternally down.
Okay.
And like it's full of books.
Yeah.
Big spiral ramp. And there's these priestesses there who are the one named Clotho, and she doesn't talk because she doesn't have a tongue.
Whoa, what'd she do?
Sexual violence.
Oh, God.
Happened to her, which is why a lot of these women are like in this library. It's like where they go.
Oh, it's like the Medusa library.
It's like a sanctuary.
Yeah. Got it.
But in the basement of this library that seems to go down forever, there's a monster.
Ooh.
There's a big monster.
I love a library monster.
Yeah, there's a library monster. It lives down there. It is like made of shadow, and like you never quite get like a really good description of it. I'm kind of obsessed with it. And but you just like hear about that.
So I want a book on Alice, and I want a book about the library monster.
Yes.
Okay.
And
got it.
they said at one point like Cassian actually went down there and like faced it, and like it fucked him up. Like he saw it, and it's like he's
absolutely not.
And he doesn't talk. It's like the one thing he doesn't talk about. He's like, I went down there once. Like a bet. Like Rice bet him, and he went down. He's like, fuck that, dude.
Yeah.
Now, Reeson tries to fuck in the library because he's like, he just like tries to get a little finger in, get in there. Baby, this book is about
Shadow Daddy rocking her world.
But you just told me that this library is a place where victims of sexual violence are working. So maybe this isn't the place to fuck.
I don't know if you understand that this book is about...
Fairies fucking.
It's not about fairies having good manners.
Okay.
Or making sense.
All right. I get it.
Okay?
They're fingering through the books.
Okay. Thank you. They're fingering through the stacks. Now, instead we end up getting more exposition.
Oh, God. Okay.
And they come up with a plan to free the bone carver from the magic prison.
The bone carver.
Now,
he sounds like a bad
saying
guy.
that out loud, it does sound like I just said a sex thing.
Yeah.
Freeing the bone carver from the magic prison.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot like, and then he pulled out his girth. But no, the bone carver was the monster they met in the second book.
Yeah.
Now, their thought is, we'll break him out, and then he can fight in the war. He'll fight on the battlefield.
Oh.
Because he's a big monster.
Yeah.
And then she goes to sleep and she has a bunch of PTSD nightmares. Now, in the morning, Reese, Feyre, and Cassian, they head to the prison. Reese drops them off and they have to walk into the prison.
Yep.
And Feyre and Cassian go in and they have a whole Hannibal Lecter scene with the bone carver. Feyre realizes, because remember, the bone carver chooses what everyone sees a different thing when they look at the bone carver.
Yeah.
And she was seeing a young boy. And she's looking at him closely this time. She realized, oh my God, he is our son.
What?
He's taken the image of our child, me and Reese's kid, because the kid has like Reese's hair, you know what I mean? Like his nose and her eyes, you know what I mean? Like she's looking at the kid, and she's like, this is actually our kid. She gives the bone carver a bone, and it's from the ACOTAR, the big bat monster that she killed.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty good bone.
Yeah, he's like, this is fucking good. That's a good bone. He's like, I'm going to carve the shit out of this. And then they're like, hey, you know, we want to make a deal with you. Like, we'll get you out of the prison. And he's like, oh, I can leave the prison whenever I want. And they're like, what? And he's like, oh, I choose to be in the prison.
He's like, for 3 meals in a cot, baby.
No, and he's like, and protection from my brother and sister. And they're like, what? And they're like, yeah. He's like, I'm a death god. He's like, as are my brother and sister. And he explains that he has a brother named Kashi.
Which is another type of food.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Kosche.
Oh.
Maybe it's Koshk. But anyway, I'm going to pronounce it Kashi. He's out there, evil as fuck.
Yep.
Evil death god. And he also says that my sister is now called the Weaver in the Woods.
Oh.
But her old name was Striga.
Okay.
Striga, which is basically just one of the who's the lady with the house with the chicken legs?
Oh.
Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga.
He's basically like, yeah, she's Baba Yaga.
Baba Yaga's a cool lady.
The Weaver in the Woods, you might remember in book 2, was the lady in the cottage where she made her go in to get that ring.
Oh.
And then by the way, I forgot to leave it. I left out that part. That ring that she stole from the Weaver in the Woods, that is her wedding ring now because it was her mother. It was his mother's ring, and then he tricked her to go in to go get that. But it turns out that lady who she stole from is a fucking death god.
Okay. So
and later looking back, she's like, I'm going to fucking have a talk with him about sending me to fucking barely, like, I'm literally like a newborn fawn over here in my fucking fairy body.
Going against a death god.
A death god. But he also notes the bone carver makes mention that Nesta is something different because she took something from the cauldron on her way out.
Okay.
And then they're like, okay, yeah, whatever. We don't care. That's weird. Will you fight with us? He goes, oh, okay, but I'll make a deal with you. I'll make a bargain with you. You got to bring me a mirror that was in my sister's castle back in the day.
We got to steal from the bad sister again?
New McGovern. But the sister doesn't have this anymore. It's the thing called it's an obsidian mirror called the Ouroboros.
Okay.
And he says, if you get me this, because you can use this to see anywhere in the world.
Okay.
And he's like, you get me this, I'll put this in. It's like getting cable in my prison cell.
Perfect.
I just want to watch MSNBC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Said
that's what
no
he wants.
one ever.
Yeah. He just says, I just want to scry here, watch Real Housewives, maybe get Peacock on it, give me a smart TV. You know, so
watch
he's
Parks
like,
and Rec reruns.
Yeah, just watch Parks and Rec reruns until I feel better, and then feel worse because I'm like, oh, that'll never happen. Now, he says, I'll fight for you, and they're like, okay. They're like, where do we get it? He's like, guess what? Kier has it.
Kier.
at the Hewn City. So
Oh,
just
God.
ask him. It's over in his fuckboy pad. And then they leave, and as they leave, Feyre's like, oh, Nesta might be death. Like, she might be a death god.
Okay, is that the little thing she stole?
Yeah, she might have stolen the power of life and death from the cauldron.
That's why she's so grumpy.
Yeah, so then they go back to go visit the sisters again, and Elaine is having a bad time.
Elena reminds me of we're doing sad music. That meme that's going around right now.
Yeah, that we found on TikTok. Another one. We've been doing sad music yet. Oh God, yeah. No, you're right. I don't have that cute. I would love to hit that. We sad again. We depressed. Anyway.
Yeah, it was we depressed music.
Yeah, we depressed music. Elaine's having a bad time. She now her Fae powers are the same as like a kid getting a cochlear implant.
Okay.
She is hearing everything.
Got it. And
she's seeing
very
everything,
unnerved by it.
and she isn't built up to handle it.
Yeah.
So at one point she even says like, I can hear the grass grow. Like, she's like, I hear everyone's heartbeat.
She just took a bunch of acid. She's
She
like,
is
I can hear the
freaking
grass
out.
grow.
But no, but it's one of those things when people get like a cochlear implant and they can hear for the first time or even see for the first time.
Yeah.
Like your brain gets used to tuning out background noise.
Yeah.
But people who are 40 and get it, like oftentimes they'll end up giving up on them because they can't tune out things. It drives them a little crazy. So that's like what she's having. And then there's a moment where Nesta and Feyre like walk around the corner and they hear a door open. They're in the library. They're in the house library, not the one with the monster in the basement.
Yeah.
And Lucian walks in.
Okay.
Because he doesn't know Elaine's in there. He's literally coming in just to get a book.
Shit. Boner town.
And so Nesta's like, we gotta get that fucker. And Feyre's like, no, wait. And she like holds Nesta and she's like, shut up. And then she reads Lucian's mind as Lucian has a conversation with Elaine. And like, she's like, hey, he isn't like just horny at her. Like he's concerned and he's trying to figure out what's wrong with her. And she's like all this different stuff. And so she feels better. And so we're moving towards rehabilitating Lucian in everyone's mind a little bit here. And then that whole thing's weird.
Yeah, that sounds weird.
And even Nesta's like, are you just reading fuckers' minds? And she's like, shut the fuck up. Shut up.
Shut up, death.
And then Lucian tells Feyre, she's like, we need to move Elaine out of the House of Wind and put her someplace normal because this place isn't helping. And Feyre agrees, and they move her to the row home. And so I just keep picturing it as like a South Philly row home,
9 bedrooms,
full of fairies, and like arguing over parking. There's some light discussion in there actually about mating bonds and why they happen. With Rhys explaining like, they can be rejected. Like Elaine could reject it because she's looking at Elaine and how Elaine looks at Azriel. Yeah. And she's like, those two, that would make sense. Yeah. But her and Lucian doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. And then she's like, who makes these? And he's like, I don't know, the algorithm, who gives a shit? And then she's like, well, could she reject it? And he's like, yeah, listen, Elaine females can reject the mating bond. Mm-hmm. But the male usually goes crazy and murders a lot of people.
There it is. That's how it always happens, isn't it?
Yep. Nice guys.
Yeah.
Now, I actually wrote murder nice guy.
Yeah, murder nice guy.
Yeah, because the men go murder nice guy about it.
Yeah, murder nice guy about it.
Yeah. And so now we are getting into a point where okay.
Okay,
all right.
take a deep breath.
I'm going to take a big deep breath. All right. Amren, Nesta, Rhys, Feyre, Mor, and Azriel go to the Court of Nightmares.
Okay.
They go to the Hewn City. Rhys and Feyre Rhys has Feyre sit on the throne. There's only one throne. And he's like, there's supposed to be 2. You sit down. So she sits down. He forces everyone to bow. And he's just kind of like a dick about it. And Nesta and Amren like walk around because they're testing. They're doing like the test of like, can you feel magic? Yeah. And they're doing that stuff while Azriel's like, poof, poof, poof. He's doing this shadow singer shit in the background. Now, they all then go into a closed door meeting with Kier. And he's like, hey, Kier, I want your army. And Kier's like,
also your mirror.
Yeah, but no, but they don't bring that up yet. He's like, Kier's like, yo, fuck you. Yeah. And then Ryson's like, yo, well, what about this though? And then the door opens and Eris walks in.
Oh.
Do you know who Eris is?
No.
Oh, we've been over this.
I know.
This is Lucian's brother with the red hair who put a nail into
the tummy of the lady.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he walks in, and they're like, and Ryson's like, I've been talking to Eris. Eris will get you an alliance with the Autumn Court.
Okay.
And that way, and the Kier's like, I like that. And then he's like, however, the other thing I want, and they're like, what? He's like, now that we know Valeris exists because they got attacked, he's like, my people want to be able to visit Valeris.
Oh, they want a vacation town.
They want to be able to go to this cool town. And Morgan's like, fuck you, no, because like Morgan's like, Valeris is my whole shit. She's like, I hate this town. I hate everyone down here.
Yeah.
I hate you, Dad. And she's like, and I hate you, Eris.
Yeah.
And like, she's like seething. And it's bad. And then they go through like this like back and forth, and basically Ryson agrees that Court of Nightmare people are allowed to come visit Valeris under supervision. Eris is like promising the alliance, and if they possibly, when asked, help murder his father.
Okay.
So then he can become the High Lord.
Got it.
And then finally at the end, Feyre tells Kier, she's like, I need the Ouroboros mirror. Give me the Ouroboros mirror. And he laughs and he says, yeah, you can have it as a mating present if you can take it. And she said, what the fuck does that mean? He goes, anyone who looks into the mirror goes insane or their souls are broken.
Oh. So why does he have it then?
They never explain how he got it.
What, bought it at Home Goods?
Where
did it come from?
They never explain. They never explain how he got it.
How do you get it mounted on the wall?
They never fucking once explain. I'm dead serious. I kept thumbing being like, how did he get this? And all we know is it's in a special room at the very top of the mountain.
Sure.
Where it's up there just in its own. Yeah. So now there are...
So I'm just going to throw a blanket over it and pull it off the wall, right?
Like a parrot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now there's a bunch of fallout.
Okay.
Because of the deals with Kier and Eris and that whole reveal.
Yeah.
Because now this fallout does not matter for the rest of the book.
Oh,
God.
How long was it?
It was like a whole chapter. Because again, it's like Morgan is like going about it, like she's pissed.
Like I understand,
and then
Morgan's
Ryson's like,
upset, but also we can't plan an entire war around her right now.
Yeah, no, I know.
So,
but then
sorry,
Ryson's
Morgan.
like, oh, I should have done this better. Like there's a better way to do this. But then he was like, it's better to ask for forgiveness than
permission.
Which is like an underlying
You literally
theme
went
of this
to
book.
go for a meeting. That's asking for permission.
Yeah.
You ask for forgiveness by just doing what you're gonna fucking do, dude.
But then Amryn finds out about the Bone Carver plan.
Okay.
And then there's a little bit more reveal about her backstory in the before times.
Okay.
Basically, she was like an angel working for a vengeful god, and the multiverse is real, and she fell through a crack into our world, and then she became human, like a fae. But the angel version of her has no concept of like us, of like being immortal.
Yeah.
And she's like, so if my angel aspect was ever freed, it wouldn't even recognize you as people.
Yeah, biblical version of
Yeah. So it's that thing. And so just keep going. And then Elaine walks in the room and she's just talking nonsense.
Yeah.
She's just like blah blah. She's just saying weird shit. And they're like, I guess did she just have a stroke?
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I'm going to just zoom out real fast.
Okay.
She's clearly speaking in prophecy because I don't want to fucking pretend like they did for a chapter or two to figure out like she's like, they bring a healer in. The healer's like, I don't know what's wrong with her. Maybe her mate should talk to her. And I'm like, what, you're fucking.
Why you say it like that?
Why? It's like the male mate. And then they start sending out replies to all the High Lords.
Are there ever lady on lady mates? Do we talk about this? Male on male mates?
It's not mentioned for a while.
Wow.
So they, at least for a while in this book, so they've been sending out messengers to all the different High Lords, be like, we should have a meeting. And then the High Lords are starting to reply. A bunch of them are like, I'm down for a meeting, but where?
Yeah, where?
And now they start arguing over where their location is going to be. And then the rules, like who you're allowed to bring, or how many +1s, what's the seating chart. Lucian gets involved with this.
That's way above his pay grade.
No, this is actually exactly what he used to do for Tamlin. So like this is like 100% this is like his thing. Like he's basically a wedding planner.
Yeah.
Like, and so he's like actually good at this. More training montages with Feyre and Cassian and Azriel. And this is actually pretty good because she sucks at flying.
Yeah.
Like hard.
Good.
And it's the visual I got of her crashing out, like literally crashing. There's like a couple times where she's like, and then I'm going to try to jump. And she like jumps off like a 20-foot balcony and just eats it. And like picturing it in my head, like if they ever make this into a series, like I need them to have a steady cam shot.
Yeah.
And she falls into frame, just like, it just like hits the ground.
Okay,
because there's nothing funnier. Hold on,
I'm
not done. There's nothing funnier to me than when someone falls into frame and you're not expecting it. Like there's two people talking, like that is always funny. It's never not funny. Do it. And especially if she's like in her fucking dress with her cute little bat wings and her little tiara. It's just so.
I have a question.
Yeah.
If this was made in a movie, who would be playing Feyre in your mind?
Oh, it's going to be somebody who sucks.
Oh, okay.
It'll definitely be somebody who sucks. And it won't be cast well. That's kind of like how I know. Because I think like she's supposed to be like a redhead or like blonde or something. Or like a dirty blonde.
Okay, that's 3 different hair colors.
No, I know. I can't remember off the top. But I think she might be like a strawberry blonde or something like that. Because I'm just keep thinking back. I've seen some of the images. I went to the wiki.
Okay.
I went to the ACOTAR wiki.
All right.
And they have images there. And it's I don't know what's official and what is just like.
Stuff. Fan art.
Fan art.
Love fan art. There's a lot of fan art about this book.
There's so much fan art about this book. There's so much fan art about this book. Now, let's go back into, I would say, I'm thinking now because I'm trying to think of different actresses that would be good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Wicked season, so Ariana Grande.
No, we can't.
Know.
We need a break.
It would be probably that Rachel Zoe girl.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Who was just in the new Hunger Games.
Yeah.
I feel like I think her head's too big. Like literally, like she has like a rail thin body and this like bobblehead.
Lollipop heads.
Yeah, she got a lollipop head. That's the thing is like I don't know. I feel like this would be a good one for like a new actress, but like I don't know because like the way what's her name with Katniss Everdeen, Jennifer Lawrence wasn't new.
Yeah,
but it was the role that like pushes her over the top.
Yeah, then we all know who she is.
Then we all are like, oh, Katniss Everdeen.
Yeah,
Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
I feel like there's somebody out there like a Sabrina Carpenter or so, you know what I mean, who's been like doing not like that. I think Sabrina Carpenter would be good at it, but I think like who's been out there, has the reps, has done the work.
Yeah, the people that have been putting 20 years behind the scenes, and then everybody thinks they're an overnight success.
So me, I should be Feyre. Speak to me, Rysand. I stroke the tattoos on his chest. There's also one part where like she's getting railed by him, and she keeps like rubbing his knee tattoos because like he's like clearly covered in like weird tattoos.
Okay.
But they read very much like Russian prison tats to me.
Perfect.
And I'm just like, this is so fucking weird.
Are the knees?
Yeah, he has like tattoo, like stars on his knees or something.
Oh god.
Because the thing is like some tattoos in this world are like bonds, like magic tattoos. But they also are always like black stencils. So I'm like,
they're like sensitive. Like if she's rubbing one on his knee, it's like a nipple.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just like but they're also like all like to me, those like hipster black line tattoos.
Yeah.
Where they're not like filled in. They're not like cool like sailor tattoos. You know what I mean? Like when I see somebody with like a sailor sleeve, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
that's fine. But when it's just like a bunch of random shit, I'm always like, all right, I get it. You were bored on a Wednesday.
Listen,
you were bored on a Wednesday and you had a Groupon.
This note is from Mrs. P. Do not listen to him about tattoos. He doesn't have any. He's never wanted any. His opinions on tattoos do not matter. Your tattoos are really cool. I bet they're awesome. Don't listen to him about them.
Anyway. I'm not. Hold on. I'm swallowing something mean.
Yeah, good.
Because
choke on it.
I'm choking
How's
on
it going?
It's going pretty good. Now, again, Elena walked in. She's spouting a bunch of nonsense. Yeah. It's clearly prophecy.
And they're like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
That sounds like something that would happen in the future. They're not getting it.
And then, I said that. Now, here's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
We are an hour and some in. I'm right at the halfway mark.
Perfect.
I think we're gonna. I
need a little teaser. What's gonna happen in the second half?
Well, you just asked about lesbians.
Oh hell yeah!
It's literally the next line.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So when we come back in part 2, because we're just gonna do this as 2 separate uploads.
Yeah.
In part 2, here's what I'm going to do. Just for anybody out there who's listening to this right the second this goes up. I'm posting part 1 right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take a little bit of a break, check in on childcare, all that different stuff, and then we're going to come back and we're going to record part 2.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to post that later this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this is up for you today.
Yep.
We're going to work really, really hard to do that.
I'm going to go make a pot of coffee.
We're going to need the biggest pot of coffee in the history of the world. So for everybody out there, we are not saying you need to join our Patreon, but you can if you want to be cool. You can join our Patreon and check us out. Thank you.
Lots of cool content on there.
There's a lot of really cool content. I'm going to play us out with our classic theme right now. Mrs. P, anything for the end of part 1?
I'm really excited about what's going to happen next.
Oh, listen, part 1, for those of y'all, just so you know, part 1 was the worst part of the book. It gets so much better from here. Everything I just read to you, I hated with a passion.
And now it's going to get good.
So we'll be right back with the next episode in just either 2 seconds or a couple hours.
Too many frauds and too many scammers that we wish weren't real. Too many cons and too many spammers, and we're starting to feel like we've got too many tabs open. It's too many tabs. Remember to smile.